This is an SW20 Toyota MR2. It's a 90s mid-engined rear-wheel drive sports car with pop-up headlights, 2 seats, a reasonable price tag, and, when this particular one was new, a 2-litre non-turbo 4-cylinder making 165 horsepower. But that's not what it's running now. Now, today's video is a little bit different. It's a little bit last minute, so rather than a fancy script and full-on history, we're keeping it simple, a quick drive, and some initial impressions. That being said, I kind of can't help myself, so let's take a minute to talk about what the MR2 is. It's a 90s Toyota sports car, but fundamentally it's mid-engined. Not something you see on reasonably priced sports cars today, for sure. MR2 actually stands for Midship Runabout 2-Seater. It's so Japanese of them. The original MR2 arrived in 1984 as the AW11. A tiny, lightweight, mid-engined wedge, cheap and cheerful, like a cut-price Lotus Elise. It shared its 1.6-litre 4AGE engine with the likes of the AE86 Corolla. The numbers weren't enormous, but in something this small and light, they didn't need to be. We're talking about 120 to 130 horsepower for the Japanese models, depending on the year. Later versions even added a supercharger, good for 145 horsepower. Still not crazy numbers, but woo. Definitely nothing on this, but we'll get to that. Toyota decided to make the second gen MR2 far more serious. The SW20 was larger, more substantial, and now used a 2-litre engine. In Japan, naturally aspirated versions made about 162 horsepower, while the early turbocharged GT model pushed that to roughly 220. Toyota still kept it relatively affordable by borrowing components from elsewhere in the range, but the result looked and performed much more like a miniature exotic. By the time production wrapped in 1999, the Japanese GT had increased in power to over 240 horsepower, making it a pretty serious performer. I think it was a pretty big success. It definitely built a cult following, that's for sure. The generation after this, the ZZW30, that was different again. It's like they couldn't make their minds up on the kind of car they wanted the MR2 to be. It was smaller, and this time, convertible. The turbo was gone, and in its place, only a single engine was offered. The 1.8-litre 1ZZ FE, making only 138 horsepower. And I think they were trying to take on the likes of the Mazda MX-5 just with a mid-engined layout. In theory, very, very cool. The problem was that it was living in the shadow of this. You go from a super serious sports car with some pretty sizable numbers behind it, especially in the turbo, and then you go back to what was a 1.8-litre, relatively mundane engine that never got a turbo or any spicier version. It just doesn't cut the mustard, does it? You're always going to be comparing it to this second generation car, and it's going to come up short. Now, the third generation car wasn't actually called an MR2 in Japan, it was called an MRS. So they were trying to differentiate it. The problem is the international marketing team obviously didn't get the memo, because overseas it was just called the MR2 or the MR2 Spider. And that's, I think, what killed it. It's a comparison that it's never going to come out from looking good. So let's talk about this car. So this car started life as a 1990 Revision 1 G Limited. And the G Limited is a non-turbo trim in Japan, so that's the stock 165 horsepower engine. Now, Phil, the owner, has owned this car for the better part of 2 decades and has obviously been tinkering with it many, many times over those years. But the biggest change is that in 2020, Phil acquired himself an ST215 Caldina GTT, deregistered, and out of that, he pulled a Gen 4 3S GDE Turbo, which makes, I believe, 260 horsepower in stock form. So 40 more than even this would have got as a turbo model. So he spent the next wee while swapping that over, and what started as a simple swap sounds like it turned into something a little bit more intense. ended up being a full teardown and rebuild. Over the course of the build, he put new pistons, new stronger rods, fully vapor blasted the engine, zinc plated. We're talking some serious stuff. Boost as well has gone up over the years. The stock engine makes around 6 psi. Phil tells me that with the boost controller turned off, this is now running 12 psi. With it turned on, I believe it gets up to 16. One thing Phil will tell you is that he loves TRD parts. So there's a lot of TRD stuff in this. Just here in the interior, we've got our TRD shift knob. But in the engine bay, we've got TRD radiator cap, TRD oil filler cap, TRD strut braces, front and back. I believe there's even a TRD panel filter from a JZA80 Supra in there, which he's had to make a custom airbox to fit. It does help it make some pretty cool noises though. Oh, look, a little turbo starlet. Brakes, apparently, are Rev 2 plus 22V. Whatever that means. It's got better brakes than factory. For handling, it's running Öhlins adjustable dampers, which do feel very nicely set up. Yeah, I mean, Phil has categorized this as an OEM plus build. It's always my favorite combination of words to hear. What about inside the SW20? I mean, it's very much a Toyota of this era, right? Like, we're dealing with a lot of, relatively soft, squidgy plastics, but it's not anything up to the level of quality you get from a car today, of course. And the designs of Toyotas in this period were all a little bit, I don't know, it's restrained, the nice, kind way to say it. It's not very interesting or exciting in here. I'd say the coolest thing about it in here is the fact that we've got this big old tunnel in the middle. And you being so low down in here, it really does give you the impression that you are in something a little bit more special. Driving position is actually not too bad. There's not a lot of padding in this seat. Again, the current owner is quite tall, so it's probably been set up to fit him very nicely, but actually being sunk down quite low into the car like this, it's giving me a nice position forward. I'd say my vision is a little bit obscured and there isn't any way for me to raise this up, but more than good enough to drive. And crucially, I reach to the pedals, reach to the steering wheel, it's all great. There's pretty good adjustability in this. And my visibility is surprisingly good. Like all the way around, actually. This thing has a good greenhouse, and usually that's a little bit of a compromise in mid-engine cars. Pretty impressed. When Toyota builds a mid-engine car, they know they're going to build thousands of them, and that they have to work as a regular car, not just as a sports car. Ferrari, Lamborghini, especially back in the day, they knew they could get away with making their cars barely function because people would buy them anyway. And of course, this is a targa top, so if I want it to be even lighter in area in here, I can just take these panels off, lift them off, and all of a sudden, other than this little T-bar in the middle, I'm in a convertible. Yeah, they did actually make a convertible MR2, by the way. It's called the MR Spider, and it's a bizarre looking thing. I'm not sure if it appeals to me, but I love that quirky stuff like that gets made. I almost forgot my favorite detail from here in the interior. These floor mats. MR2, a man in dandism, new rich and sports. I don't know. I reckon let's turn the boost up and give this thing more of a proper drive. Start with clutch and shifter. The clutch is tight, the bite is sort of near the floor, but it feels good. Shifter's pretty tight as well. I'm used to older Toyotas having pretty warm bushings, but this is nice. Okay. Yeah, let's leave second for later. Steering feel is beautiful, to be honest. Like, really, really good. It's so well weighted. It's just dripping in feel. I'd say the closest equivalent I can think of is a 987 Cayman. And And I know that sounds like very, very high praise, but believe me, I've driven the Cayman a lot, and this is easily on par. I hate to say it, it might even be a little bit better. While I'm in car review mode, how is the road noise and general refinement? I mean, you know what? It's actually not that bad. Like, it's pretty good. Yeah, considering this is on those Öhlins adjustable dampers and TRD springs, I believe, I forgot to mention, it's actually riding pretty smooth. I don't drive particularly compliant cars, so I might not be a great baseline for this. But again, it actually might ride a little bit smoother than the Cayman did. So anyway, enough beating around the bush. Let's talk about the star of the show here, which is that Rev 4 3SGDE engine. Oh man, it's so good, so good. I've got to stop driving such good cars. You're all going to think I'm just glazing everything I drive, but I swear I didn't know it was going to be this good. Oh, the throttle response is amazing as well. You can rev match so easy. Like, it's just intuitive. Oh, turbo comes on nice. I mean, lag is there, but it's not intrusive lag. It's still pulls, and then you just get that surge, but the surge comes on in a really nice linear way. It doesn't feel like something that is overly, I suppose, threatening, terrifying. It's predictable. I don't know how much power this is making. Obviously, it's probably making more than the stock 260 if the boost has been wound up that much, but I mean, I feel like we could healthily be in the 300s. And that sound, those turbo noises are absolutely intoxicating. I can't get enough. That's a Type R. I'm really impressed with this car. There are so many cars of this era, especially when they're modified, where the owner will have almost too much of a focus on one thing over another. Build a crazy engine for their car, but they'll leave it on stock brakes, stock suspension, or they'll do just the bare minimum to make it look good, you know, lowering springs, something like that. And you end up with something really unbalanced. Not here. Phil has spent a lot of time getting just the right parts and just the right setup everywhere. This is another one of these cars where I don't have to spend very long with it to start to feel like I can get on with it. So we got that body control to support that incredible engine, which again, it's not stock, but it's built in such a way where the delivery could be stock. You know, this could just be like a later revision of a 3SGDE that Toyota had put a little bit more work into, and from a drivability perspective, I'd buy it. I'd totally buy it. Those intake noises and exhaust noises are obviously not stock, but they're very, very welcome. Now, the internet loves to talk about how the second gen MR2 kind of wants to kill you. I haven't driven this enough to really confirm or deny anything, but I can kind of guess what's going on. At the end of the day, this is a mid-engine car, and mid-engine cars are not something that most people have a lot of experience driving. And as a result, because this is a Toyota and because it got really cheap for a while, I think too many people bought them and didn't respect them. They drove them like they would a front-wheel drive Corolla or even a rear-wheel drive A86 or something. But it's just not the same. The weight distribution is totally different. The behavior on and off throttle around the corner is totally different, and it can be counterintuitive, and it'll bite you. If you take a corner really hard and suddenly lift off, yeah, you might kick the end out. It's not the car's fault. You just have to drive it differently. There's nothing about this which is making me feel like I don't have control, like the front end's doing stuff that I don't expect it to. And I don't know how much of that is the MR2 as a whole versus what Phil's done to it. But this car here today is exactly what I want it to be. I wouldn't change a thing, and I'm not joking. I don't need any more power. I wouldn't want any less. I don't need the delivery to be more linear. I don't need big V6 to get that NA power delivery. I actually really enjoy the turbo delivery and the sound of it. Speaking of sound, it's great. It's not too loud, it's not too drony, but it's super present. Steering's beautiful. I'm in love. Good job, Phil. Amazing build. 10 out of 10. I guess that's kind of my sum up. He's done an incredible job building this car. It feels like he's brought all the best traits out of it. There's not a lot of these left, especially these early cars. Japan exported most of them when they were worth nothing, and then they arrived in countries like New Zealand where people got their hands on them for like 2 or 3 grand, absolutely shredded them, and then scrapped them. So unfortunately, these are now becoming a bit of a rare sight. But I do like that we've got owners like Phil. They were passionate, keeping them alive, and letting people like me take them for a ride and learn to appreciate what makes MR2 so great. Thanks for watching.